You are here to learn about Madeira today. I am Erica from Quest Travel Adventures. I am joined today by Rosie from Madeira Tourism. And we're going to be recording this webinar and we're going to be sending it out to all of you. So please, if you missed some of it or if you want to rewatch it, you'll have that ability. And there is a chat feature on the GoToMeeting. So if you have questions, please go ahead and chat and we will try to answer all of your questions as we go or at the end. So with that in mind, thank you for joining Quest Travel Adventures and Madeira Tourism today. And I am going to let Rosie start with the presentation.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Erica. Welcome everyone who's still joining. I know some people are coming in still, so thanks for taking a little bit of your time. I know everybody in the travel industry is completely full of things to do, so it's always great to come and learn about a new destination and new things that you can learn to sell. Thank you very much, Erica, for inviting us on this webinar. It's a great honor to be here. As you know, it's such a small destination. You've been here a few times, so it's been amazing to see the interest grow, as I was mentioning before, especially in the US market. And putting the word out there and, answering all your questions, everybody that's joined us today. It's great to help put the word out on how amazing the destination is. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit of like the ins and outs of Madeira for those who don't know. Feel free to also launch some questions in the chat, and later on we can answer all your queries. If anything comes to mind that you need, I'll also leave my email on the presentation, possibly at the end. And obviously, you're in great hands with Quest Travel Adventures that can help you out because they are pretty much specialists in the destination now. So anyway, so I'm going to leave you, for those who don't know anything about Madeira, my first little slide on the presentation is a really nice, cute video that we have for you today. So I'm going to let you wake up to this. Good morning.
Over the years, Madeira has been a meeting place for different cultures. Today, it is a place rich in diversity, tradition, and individuality. People who speak of their homeland with a sparkle in their eyes, who have inherited a past but keep their eyes on the future, who know how to receive and take pleasure in giving. But Madeira is not only a place full of welcoming people, it is also a place for all those it welcomes. People of all ages, all nationalities, all families, all lovers, all sports players. A place where everyone feels good, where everyone finds themselves among friends, where everyone lives like locals, and where everyone always finds a reason to return. A place where everyone feels like they belong. Welcome to Madeira. Madeira belongs to all.
So apologies if the imagery was a little bit jittery, but I think you got the gist of it. Above all, not just the scenery that you can see on the video, but also just, the messaging, if you could hear it clearly. It really is a destination that belongs to all. And so everybody's welcome. It's an extremely inclusive and exclusive destination for that matter. So really, there's everything that one can do, and due to where we're located. And so on this little map, you can see we are actually on the same latitude as Casablanca. So this means that we have the best weather in Europe. And we are a European destination, a European island. We belong to Portugal, although we are considered an autonomous region. So it's an archipelago that is quite independent. but we obviously still belong to Portugal and the European Union. So you get the I would say the two of both, but the best of two worlds. You get a tropical destination, which I'll explain a little bit more about in the following slides. But you also get a kind of tropical but European and sophisticated destination. So the best of two worlds, as I said. And how to get there? Very easy. You can ask Erica, and she can book your flights. But if there is any doubt, obviously the easiest way from the US is to fly or to Lisbon or to Porto, or the direct flight that comes from Newark to Funchal, and that's a seasonal flight for now. Hoping that next year the United will see it's such a great opportunity that they want to extend it. But for now, this is basically what we have from Portugal. And then you have all the other connecting European destinations. It's more than 26 different countries that you can fly to Madeira. So it's a small destination. We're only 300 square miles in terms of area. So as you can imagine, it's a small destination, but a lot is happening, and a lot of different nationalities come to Madeira. That's just a little brief presentation, as you can see. So we basically are connected anywhere. If your clients want to come from Europe, that's also a possibility. As I mentioned in the previous slide, climate, as we are located on the same latitude as Casablanca, you would think, oh my God, it's so warm, it's too warm. It's not. Because we're surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, it gives us that nice breeze. We have, which I'll speak about a little bit in the following slides, we have a fantastic forest, and that makes it very nice and cool. So it's fresh. It keeps the temperature down. It never gets too hot or too cold, as you can see, 60 to 83 Fahrenheit, which is great, and the sea temperature is also fantastic. That's all year round. And also that's what makes it an all year round destination. So moving on to what you can do in Madeira, and that is obviously first you can arrive and you can go to the capital, which is Funchal. Funchal is our capital city. It holds about half of the population of Madeira, which is in total 250,000. And I'll leave you with a little snippet. I know the videos don't work too well, but I can't not show you, just so you can see how vibrant even the little capital is. So as you can see, a lot of tropical fruits, colors, artisans, culture, history, and that's basically what you can find in Funchal. And if we can go on to the next slide, we can also see a few of the activities that one would suggest. So whilst you're in Funchal, we have the kind of older part of town where you can walk through the small streets, you can visit the farmers market, you can possibly even go to like an embroidery or their gardens. I think that's probably the next one. But in Funchal, we have about 3 different tropical gardens. So you can visit all of that in one day, and then do a little embroidery workshop, and then move on to a few other things related to culture and history. So I would say on an agent perspective, in Funchal, you can spend at least 1 or 2 days. I don't know if you agree with that, Erica. Basically, to make the most of Funchal, which is the capital, and to discover all the cultures, all the culture and the monuments, to see all these different foods that are traditional to us. I would say if you're based in Funchal, at least spend 2 full days in Funchal, and then maximize your stay along the other parts of and other regions of the island. Somebody just popped up a question, which I'll just add very quickly, and I'll answer all the other questions later on. What is the best or ideal minimum nights? I would say 5. I'm not sure what your programs are exactly, Erica. I think it's 5 nights.
Five. Yeah,
So
we start with
perfect.
5. I agree. If you want to
Minimum.
immerse yourself,
Minimum.
go more, but 5 nights. And Rosie, to your point, we like putting people in Funchal for all 5 nights. The island infrastructure that we were talking about at the beginning has grown so much that it is really easy to use that as your base to explore the whole island. And that way, if you have free time, there's lots of things to do to keep you busy.
Exactly. So just to add to all the kind of more the city and the lifestyle component, to add to staying in Funchal, we can move on to the hotels. And I do like to say that obviously Quest, you have your preferred partners, but we have, just to give you a kind of glimpse of what Madeira has in terms of availability. You can go from like an old manor house that you can see in this image. You can also go to, for example, a more contemporary hotel, where we have, all the major brands of Virtuoso. We have leading hotels of the world. We have Relais Chateau. So if your clients are more dedicated to kind of luxury side, that's also an option. If your clients are looking for things, 4-star, 3-star properties, that's also absolutely possible in Madeira. So we have around 33,000 beds in Madeira. So it's a small destination, but we have a lot of capacity. I would say don't look at Madeira as just a last minute destination, because it could get quite tricky. Availability is definitely been quite difficult to find, especially in high season, which we don't really know what high season is at the moment. But if you can plan in advance, that's always secure and great to choose. Moving on to a few other things that one can explore in Madeira gastronomy. I also added it to the component in Funchal. Once we're visiting Funchal, you can add a little bit of gastronomy, but obviously if you want to really embrace the traditional and typical gastronomy, then it's great to get all around the island to see all the differences in all those traditional dishes. And there's another little very cute video over here.
Rosie, you're muted.
Sorry, Portugal in general. Thank you, Erica.
I'm starving after watching that, and especially
Yeah.
last glass of wine.
I know. So Portugal in general is a very popular destination for gastronomy and wine, as you all know, but Madeira doesn't fall short of it. Madeira has its own very simple food, very, very amazing wine as well. We started developing our own table wine not very long ago, because we were definitely more known for our fortified wine. That's very famous as well. And so, yeah, this is just definitely an add-on to make your clients' experience so much better. And if you have any questions on gastronomy, please let me know. I just spoke about the Madeira wine, which is actually was actually used for a toast by your founding fathers in the US, on the Declaration of the Independence. So that's also a fun fact. And obviously, here are all the traditional foods that you could see in the video as well.
On the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see their traditional bread.
Yes.
You have one of their, in the middle, you've got the limpet coming from the ocean. I think that I was most surprised eating the espetate, which is the beef.
Which is the beef on the skewer over there with the laurel.
Skewer branch is from the laurel tree, so they're actually seasoning it from the inside as well as from the outside.
Absolutely. So these are the most traditional things you can find, but I don't know if you saw on the video as well, Erica, there's a lot of fish because we have our local market. As we're surrounded by ocean and sea, that's definitely something that we also treasure.
And what is your favorite thing to, you have a whitefish that comes from the deep deep depths of the ocean.
It's like the ugliest fish in the world. I think if you type in ugliest fish in the world, that's probably the one that's going to come up. Maybe not,
And
but
I
it's
know
called the
often
scabbard fish.
scabbard fish, and it's often served with a banana or even passion fruit.
Yeah, exactly. And to the point, this little question that popped up very quickly. Yes, there are options for vegans and vegetarians. So no issues with adapting to the local cuisine, because we do have the traditional. But if you go on to the next slide, we also adapt to obviously a more contemporary form of F&B, I guess, in general. We have Michelin star restaurants, but we also have normal restaurants, and we have traditional restaurants that they all are very welcoming. Everybody speaks English in Madeira. Am I wrong, Erica? I think it's so
No,
easy
I
to
think
get
you're
around.
great. And I think the food complements what you were saying about the hotels, where you can go to the little small mom and pop eatery, and then you can go to the Michelin star fancy eatery. So the same way that you have the hotels that are more B&B style, or quintas smaller, and then the more modern,
Yeah,
fancier places, it's the same copies with the restaurants and the food options.
absolutely, absolutely. So there's always room for vegans and vegetarians. There are even some concepts that are specifically for people who are more vegetarian than vegan, I would say. It's always easier to find in general, I think. But yeah, there's definitely options for everyone. So I wouldn't be afraid of booking for clients. Moving on to the nature, which is one of our biggest fortes in Madeira. Two-thirds of Madeira is surrounded by our Laura Silva Forest, which is protected. It's actually in UNESCO heritage since 1999, so it's one of our biggest assets and one of the main reasons why our temperature is so mild, um, because it retains all the water on the top of the island, and it cools the whole island down for the rest of the year, which is fantastic. Other things that you can definitely look out for when you're in Madeira in nature and activities that you should add or can add for your clients are hikes. So we actually have these water channels that you can see here on this image, which are beautiful. They go around the whole island. They were built in the beginning of the 16th century, 15th century, late 15th century, that they started these fantastic works of engineering at the time to bring water from the north side of the island to the south, obviously for agriculture and just water in general. But today they still are a form of transporting water, and they're extremely important for our ecosystem and for our day-to-day life. But you can also use them as fantastic hikes for your clients. So it's like all in one. And they go around the whole island, more than 3,000 kilometers. So it's great to add that to programming. You can just do normal hikes and walks, not necessarily Levada walks. So two different things, but definitely worth studying a little bit and checking them out. Other things that you can also add to your clients' programs are a little bit more active, I would say, possibly. We can do a little bit of, I think mountain biking is probably the next slide, or canyoning. Oh, okay, sunrises and sunsets not to be missed, of course. Um, Thank you, Erica. I'm trying to remember my
And
slides.
this was one of the first places that I saw an official sunset into the clouds, as opposed to
Oh
sun.
yeah, our highest peak, Pico do Arieiro, is like almost 2,000 meters high, which is quite high. I don't know what that is so it's two.
It's over 6,000.
Yeah,
What was
I'm
fascinating is that it was pouring rain in Funchal, and they said, "Oh, we're going to have a beautiful sunset tonight." And I was like, "Haha, you're funny because it's pouring rain." And then we got into the Jeep and went up above the clouds and had this beautiful
and it wasn't
sunset.
raining.
It
Yeah,
was
so you're
amazing.
basically always above the clouds. It's great. It's fantastic.
Um, and I think this type of activity, you had talked about the Levada walks and the hikes, and then we're going to go into some of the other activities that the Levada walks can be at a beginner level. They can be really flat along the Levada, and then the other hikes can be more advanced for the
Yes,
people
exactly.
who really want to get their steps in and get their heart rate up and really climb to the top of the highest peak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, it's always good to complement the hiking with a sunrise or a sunset. It's always a great thing to do as well. Or get there by a Jeep tour, as you just mentioned. I think this is definitely one of the activities that you should book for your clients. Even if they're flying drive, it's a great opportunity to get to know some of the kind of off the beaten track areas of Madeira that you wouldn't typically go to because you're following a GPS and you're not with a guide and not with a local that will show you some really cool areas. Other activities that one can do that don't have to necessarily be hard, you can make them hard because of how our island looks like. It's a volcanic island, so you have very steep hills as well. And if you are a very good mountain biker, you can definitely do it. If you're not, then there are also places that you can go, or even cycling. You don't necessarily need to do just mountain biking. There are also cycling options. In Madeira, trail running is also a big one. If you want to get more than your steps in, if you want to, leave a lung behind somewhere, that's also an option for your
Am I getting the
clients.
feeling that this isn't what you like to do?
No, it's not this. I'm a mountain biker, but not a trail runner. And obviously canyoning, one of these activities, or some of these activities, they do look extreme, but they don't have to be. The trail running is definitely probably the more extreme in terms of the physical condition one needs to be in, but the mountain biking can be extremely pleasant, or the cycling in general. And also the canyoning, there are some canyons that are very easy, and obviously canyons that are harder. So it really depends on everybody's physical condition.
When I went canyoning, and I've never done anything like this before, I was really impressed that we actually had 3 generations of a family. So I had some 10-year-olds with me who were running circles around me, 40-year-old parents, and then we even had a 65-year-old grandfather who was like, hey, if my kids can do this, I can do this. So it was really fun to be able to experience that with them, and really see that this activity, which to me this picture is a little intimidating, but
yeah, maybe I should choose a different picture, but I mean, it's a beautiful one. So
yeah, perfect.
But it's a very easy activity, and you get guided along the whole thing, so it's great.
Yeah. It was so much fun. I had no idea how much I was going to love it. So, but for those not interested in the extreme,
yeah,
we have golf.
Yes, for the ones who aren't that adventurous and like a little round of golf, which I do as well, we have 2 fantastic golf courses on the main island of Madeira. Very different between them, but as you can see, both of them have fantastic, stunning views, and 18 holes. So for those who look for golf, this is also an option to add to your holidays. Moving into, is the water safe to drink? Of course, yes, it is very safe to drink in Madeira. Moving on to the sea, obviously we have a lot of sea activities because we're surrounded by it. You can just look at our fantastic landscapes, or you can also try some of our volcanic beaches that are actually black sandy beaches. And then we have our famous natural pools, which are absolutely stunning. The waves come crashing in. The natural pools heat up because of the volcanic rocks around it. So it's such a nice way to just have a little dip in the ocean without being in the ocean. Other things that you can add to one's program is a little bit of just leisurely sailing. You can charter yachts. You can, do a regular boat trip with other people on it. So there's plenty of options and lots of different providers. Dolphin and whale watching is definitely one of the activities I always suggest if you're into sea life and them being out in the ocean and free. You can see them throughout the whole year, actually, dolphins and whales, cetaceous. We have about 26 different species that visit Madeira, so it's a fantastic place to go and observe. Diving is also one of the fantastic activities that you can do in Madeira if you're into diving, because it's not very extreme as well. It's very easy to do. And for those who love a little bit of adrenaline, surfing's an option, even if you're just a beginner. So you have bigger waves and smaller waves, but in general, smaller waves. Not like Nazaré in Portugal, you know. Porto Santo, not to leave our sister island out, which is about a 15-minute flight from Madeira and a 2 hour and 15 minutes from in a ferry boat. Okay, so you can basically add it to like a day trip, maybe fly one direction, come back on a boat, or take the ferry, there and back. But if you're doing that, possibly extend it for a day and stay there a night could be an option. If not, a great place to just have a little day trip and go to the beach and relax and come back to Madeira. There are other things to do other than the beach in Porto Santo. Just to add to that, Erica, sorry. There are also, you can take a walk with horse riding, for example. There are also fantastic hikes there. There is also a golf course in Porto Santo. So that's our third golf course. Thank you. As I mentioned in the beginning of this webinar, when we talked about the climate is one of our fortes, and it's also what makes us an all-year-round destination. So that being said, we obviously have an event calendar that goes from the beginning of the year all the way to the end of the year. And there are things happening almost every month, but I would say bigger events every other month. So it starts from, celebrating Carnival, which is not the Venezian Carnival, it's the Brazilian Carnival, because we are warm people and we love the Brazilian culture as well. And it's a great festival to be in here in Madeira. Our Flower Festival that happens in May. It's a very unique event that I believe only Madeira has, and it's a very traditional event to Madeira. Just now in June, we had the Atlantic Festival, and it hasn't ended just yet. I think this following weekend, we have our last set of fireworks. So every Saturday in June, we have a little festival of fireworks. So if you happen to book a client for this time of the year, it's great because they will be surprised by the little fireworks that happen on Saturdays. And of course, the wine culture in Portugal, again, not to be left out in September or October, depending on the harvest season. But it's also a great place to go and not get drunk, just try some wine, as one says. But it's a great environment where you can meet people and drink a few different types of wine. Christmas is an amazing time of the year in Madeira. It starts from the 8th of December all the way to the end of December, even follows through to kind of mid-January with all the Christmas markets, and there's always something happening. There's always some band playing and folkloric dances and, just being out in the streets in general, because it's such a nice time of the year and the weather's so fantastic. And you can eat and drink out on the streets on these fantastic little food markets. And obviously the last blast, New Year's Eve in Madeira, is one of our biggest events in Madeira. So it's a harder one to book for your clients, but if you want to do it, you need to book in advance. And I know Erica's going to add to something over here. So I'll let you take the wheel on that. Sure. And tell us what you have for us to Madeira.
So what's most interesting about New Year's Eve in Madeira, I think, is that you set off fireworks from like 60 different locations around Funchal.
Yes.
Whether you're on a cruise ship, whether you're in the harbor, whether you're in the middle of the city, whether you're up in the hills, you were going to see fireworks. And not only that, but when I was there, I felt the fireworks. It was like boom, 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 because they were going out from all around us. At one point, it used to be the largest firework display in the world, and now we've limited it to the largest in Europe.
Yes. I mean, when you have countries like Dubai and, people, and it's hard to keep up a small destination.
So what Quest has done is we actually put together a package specifically for New Year's Eve. You can find it on our website, but we've made this easy for you in terms of including air from Boston. It is a one-stop in Lisbon, a very centrally located boutique hotel right in the center of the city, and a couple of the typical activities that Rosie was talking about. So if that's something you think clients are interested in, we do still have a couple seats left on that. As Rosie said, I have people that have booked the Madeira New Year's Eve experience a year in advance. There are some hotels that that are coveted that sell out really early. So this is something you can experience. There are definitely cruise ships that will be in port, but there's also a lot of going on land. And again, you don't have to be part of something. You can be right down in the marina, which is completely free, and see fireworks going off 365 degrees around you. Tell me, Rosie, someone was asking about the cruise ship day visitors. How many? Is there a seasonality for them?
So my jurisdiction doesn't really cover the cruise ships, but it's definitely seasonal. I think they only start in the winter. So I'd say now summer season is when they're off, and then they kind of come through later on and start maybe in September, maybe October. So in New Year's, yeah, they're definitely there as well.
Just to add to that, Quest can offer, if you have people coming in on a cruise ship, we can offer special private tours during the time that they're there. We do follow a little bit of the cruise schedule just to have an understanding. During, like Rosie said, the winter season, you'll have 1, 2, sometimes up to 3 ships in. The most amount of ships they have is over New Year's Eve. They'll have about
11 or 12.
8, 12, yeah, maybe more than that. I know when I was there was definitely about 8 or 9. But it doesn't, once you kind of get out of Funchal, sometimes you'll feel that there's more people in town. But as soon as you go out, there's just so much to do on the island that you're not really affected by that. Quest puts together FIT packages or small group packages. So we kind of create these customized tours. Someone was asking about car rentals. Do you have to do a car rental on the island? No, you don't. When we first started talking about doing 5 days, being based in Funchal, maybe taking a couple private or small group tours to different parts of the island, you don't have to have a car to get around. Funchal itself is pretty easy to navigate by foot or by taxi or by tuk-tuk as a fun way to get around.
I would add to that. Sorry, Erica. I'm just I go to the US quite a lot, and I see your roads, and I think to myself, probably not a good idea to be flying and driving if you're only used to these big lanes with big lights. And I would say I think it would become more stressful for your client to be driving in Madeira than you actually enjoying the scenery and in just laying back and getting all these fantastic guided tours and things that Quest can develop for you. And it is really easy to get around. So I wouldn't personally, I wouldn't push for that. And it's not because the tourism boards don't like. No, there are different cultures, different clients. I think if your client is an extremely good driver and he's young and active, then why not, if that's something that they enjoy doing. But if you have the option and if they're not sure, I would not go for it.
The other thing that's worth noting is if you're staying in downtown and in the center area of Funchal, it's actually not the easiest to find parking if you don't have parking available at the hotel. And I wouldn't want to drive a car in Funchal. There's enough kind of one-way and circular streets that it's easier, less stress to let someone else do the
Exactly.
driving. But it is possible, and especially if you have a client that wants to stay for a longer period of time, maybe you do 3-4 nights in Funchal, then you get them a car and you put them on a different part of the island. The island has grown. For those of you who joined early, we were talking a bit about the infrastructure. Since 2000 and becoming part of the EU, the island has really benefited by some of the infrastructure changes, new roads, new tunnels, so that all of a sudden what used to take an hour to get from the airport to Funchal back 25 years ago now takes about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes getting to the other side, getting to the north side of the island, getting to some of those fancy bathing pools in Porto Muniz, which is kind of the furthest part of the island from Funchal. It's much easier to navigate if you did want to have a car, but do keep in mind that it's one lane in each direction in almost all parts, with the exception of the small highway piece. And anytime you're going up into the mountains a little bit, you're also going to get zigzag switchbacks.
Absolutely.
Tell me a little bit about swimming. Can you swim year round without a wetsuit?
You can definitely swim without a wetsuit year round, depending on where you come from. I would say we have people. No, it's an honest response. We have people that come from England and Nordic countries that are used to cold, and they swim throughout the winter. I don't think you need to be brave to do so. Obviously, it will be fresher in the winter, but I do it, and I love swimming in the ocean in the winter even. If the day is nice and if the sun's out, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I agree with you. It does depend on what water you're used to. Is it going to be as warm as the waters of the Caribbean? No.
No, definitely not.
But up here in the Northeast, we go swimming in waters that even in the summer months when it's 90 degrees out, the water still feels icy cold. When I was swimming in Madeira, it felt warmer to me.
So it's nice and fresh.
Definitely swim. So with the sample packages that you see on our website that's on the screen, we can kind of create any sort of package for your customer. So if your customer is into high adventure, we get some of that mountain biking, we get some of that extreme hiking, we get some of the more advanced canyoning. If your client is interested in adventure, but maybe doesn't want to get their blood pressure going, we do a Jeep tour, we do an easy Levada walk, maybe we do a whale and dolphin activity where you don't have to necessarily get their heart rate up, but it's still adventure. Or perhaps you go with people who just want to relax and just kind of be a part of their experience, have it be more visual. There's so much nature to see. There's so many gardens to see. There's so much kind of just different experience, culture, heritage that we can show you. Someone had asked about foodie walking tours. Yes, as Rosie had pointed out before, the gastronomy is a huge part of it. So whether the foodie tour is an actual like walking tour in the old town of Funchal, or whether it's a wine tasting and luncheon experience at one of the vineyards, we can do all of that. So just to move along here, important thing about Quest, we put together the whole package for you and we pay 12% commission. That's built in. So that is something that makes it easy for you. We do run fam trips and partner with the Madeira Tourism to do that. So just make sure you're on our mailing list and you'll get that information there. Any other questions that have come up? Rosie, anything else you've thought of? And actually, I'm going to ask you one question, which is, what's the population of Madeira? And do you think that Madeira over the last, let's say, 5 years has experienced any sort of over-tourism?
So the population is at the moment, it's 250,000 total, of which most of 50% lives in Funchal, and most of the people reside in the kind of southern part of the island. We have not felt over tourism. We're very used to having people in the destination. We're the oldest tourism destination in Portugal, one of the oldest ones in Europe. So it's very usual for us to feel the influx of travelers. The capacity has definitely grown in terms of the hotels. So it really depends on how you look at it. I mean, I'm sure everybody that's here travels. Every destination at the moment in Europe is packed. If you go to Italy, it's packed. If you go to France, it's packed. Everywhere is packed. I think it's just the new thing. It's not a luxury to travel anymore. But obviously in Madeira, you don't feel what you feel in those European city destinations, because everybody's doing their own thing. Everybody's doing their own activities. As you can see, there's so many different things to do for very different style of people. So you won't find yourself lining up to go to a museum or things that tourists normally do when they go to destinations. Madeira is very special in that respect. You can be alone in the nature because you chose a hike that day not many people went to, because you had the best people telling you that maybe you should go here instead of there, because those are the kind of more known hikes. So I think it's really about how you know, connect with quests, for example, when they're on the ground and they know the destination, they've been here a few times, they have their local partners that they trust and believe in, and we as locals will know exactly what not to do and what to do on certain days of the week, for example. So I think there is definitely not a feeling of overcrowded or over tourism, not in Madeira.
Excellent. When you submit a request to Quest, you'll get to speak to one of our specialists. That is, like I said, we are a small company. We're a small tour operator. We highlight specific destinations, Madeira being one of them. So we know a lot about this destination. We work really closely with Rosie and her team at Madeira Tourism to make sure that we are providing you as travel agents the most up-to-date information. We want to make sure no two packages that we create are the same, because no two clients want to go on the exact same vacation. So I think it's really important to note that we kind of can customize that for you. Rosie, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this. I want to thank all of you. Rosie has been kind enough to leave her email here at the bottom should you want to get some more information from there. All of you who are on the webinar right now are added to the Quest email list, so you will get information on our new packages, on our new promotions, on our fam trips.
And also this presentation, perhaps.
Yes, we will be sending out the presentation along with videos, links to the videos. I will send out details on the New Year's Eve package for those of you who have expressed interest. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you have any questions about the destination, whether this destination is right for your clients, and how to set up the best package for your clients. So any last words there, Rosie? Any reason they should come to Madeira?
It's an obvious one, you know. It's so easy. I don't need to sell my destination. It's not too hard for me. I think it's a great place to book. It's a safe place. There's infrastructure. It's inclusive, and it's just such an easy sell once people look into it and read about it. So we're here to help you out with that.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for your time today, and thank everybody for being here. We really appreciate it. So let's all see you in Madeira next.
Exactly. Look forward to it. Thank you so much, Erica, for having me.
Thank you.
And have a great morning for you. It's the evening for me, so I'm going off to have dinner now. Thank you so much.